This is an age of darkness. A world of fear, power, and death. But a few forge their destiny. Medieval total war.
Hello folks and welcome back to Medieval Total War. I am Conostip and this is going to be part 1 of my early campaign we're playing as France. So let's dive on in. So we're going to go into expert difficulty. I reckon is a pretty fun way to play, and early period. So this is going to be starting in the year, I think it's 1087, whereas the high period is going to be, is that 1205 or 1204? And then the late period is going to be 1320. But I'm still playing the early period, so here we go. And I am going to be playing with Glorious Achievements mode. I could still conquer the map if I wanted to, but I'm going to be playing for points. I think that's a more interesting way to play. And I'm not going to be reading the background in this video. I have read this in my Almaheads campaign, so if you're interested in learning about this specific time period, the early period, of course this isn't like the real early medieval period. This is more like the high period, but this is kind of called this way in this game. But if you're interested, you can read this in my Almaheads campaign. So I'm going to be going in, and as you already know, I will be playing as the French, and I will be reading this, and it's going to be quite long, so you can't just skip ahead if you're not interested. So faction difficulty is going to be hard, and then playing the French is the equivalent of a harder difficulty setting than the one you chose. The French position is not an easy one, as they are hemmed in by both the English and the Holy Roman Empire, and winning as the French requires not only hanging on to what is already French, but aggressive conquest too. French armies have no exclusively French specialist troops, so they are slightly disadvantaged in this respect. They do eventually have an advantage when training chivalric knights, especially in Toulouse, giving them some of the finest, if sometimes wayward and impetuous, heavy cavalry in the world. French crossbowmen are also better than average. Finally, crusades are a valuable tool for French expansion if properly organized, resourced, and targeted. At first glance, the position of the French king looks unenviable. His center of power around Paris and the Ile-de-France looks small and vulnerable, and the great nobles often openly flout his authority. That these great nobles also nominally include the King of England is no comfort either. In French eyes, the English kings may be vassals in France, but in fact they act like unwelcome masters in much of the land. The King of France has no real authority in what should be his own domain where the English are concerned. Sooner or later, this problem will have to be addressed and settled once and for all. Until then, France must contend with a potentially aggressive neighbor to the north, the Holy Roman Empire to the east, and the relatively weak Christian kingdoms of Spain to the south and Italy. After the English, the Holy Roman Empire is the greatest rival, particularly if the Emperor harbors ambitions of conquering Italy. If possible, expansion into northern Italy represents a good way of scaring French glory and thwarts imperial ambitions. This is particularly true if relations with the Catholic Church become strained. A French army in Rome is a powerful argument when dealing with the papacy, but provokes religious discontent by its presence. While this paints a bleak picture of French prospects, things are not quite as bad as they appear. France is a very rich country and can have more than ample resources to draw upon. Once the French king has spent wisely and secured his heartlands, an enemy could have a difficult time in taking them, especially against the flower of French knighthood. And when waging a war of aggression, France has the same advantages in honor and nobility Those same French knights are the envy of the world. Above all, France must avoid expansion and therefore warfare in too many places at the same time. War against the English must not allow the empire to nibble away at French possessions, and vice versa. France has a power to prosper mightily, but only when this power is used wisely. Now, that note of French crossbows being better than normal is something that I've never heard before, and I've never seen proof of that. I wonder if it's just referring to the fact that there is a discount for crossbows for the French. In fact, there are discounts for many units for a lot of the factions, and that's not mentioned anywhere in this game, which is really weird, because in Shogun 1, that was like the main difference between factions, was what units that faction had a discount for. And that does exist here, it's just not mentioned. And I believe that there's also going to be discounts for chivalric men-at-arms and chivalric sergeants, and then I don't think for chivalric knights, but as mentioned, there's going to be that valor bonus for knights in Toulouse. So that's going to be good. Let's go ahead and start this campaign. Also, while I was on the topic of those French units, none of that's going to be available until the high period, which is going to be quite a while. As you can see, yeah, we're in the year 1087, so it's going to be like 118 years before we get to use any of those units. And in the early period, I would say that the French armies are pretty average. Well, not average actually. They're bad. There's nothing unique that the French get access to that I'm aware of. I think that they do get access to Hoplars, which is the light cav that the English also get access to. The difference is that the English do already first start with Hoplars, and they can train them from turn 1 here in Aquitaine. So yeah, it's a bit tricky. So this blinking icon down here is the Glorious Achievements panel, and this is going to be showing all of the achievements for all of the factions, actually, which is nice. It's nice to kind of see what is going to be scoring them points as well, and these are all types of objectives. The primary 2 objectives that are going to exist for everyone is going to be Homelands and Conquest. Homelands is going to be telling us what provinces we want to actually have control over to be getting points, and these are going to be the counting periods. So you're going to notice here that the first counting period is the year 1100, which is 13 years from now. And you're going to notice that 3 of my homeland provinces, being Edessa, Antioch, and Palestine, those are in the Levant. That's the Holy Land, and that's impossible. It's really bizarre that those are included here. It's kind of a slap in the face. It's like saying, look at these 3 points that you're never going to earn. You just can't get there in time. Like, I don't know, maybe if you marched everything, we can't even build Crusade. It takes like, yeah, you can't even launch Crusade until like around that time, like around 1100. Like if you just rushed a Crusade marker, it would still probably take, yeah, it's impossible. You can't do it. So that's a slap in the face. Like right off the bat, that's 3 points that you just can't make. Luckily, we will be getting the points for Champagne and Toulouse, 1 point each, and 2 points for Ile-de-France, Brittany, and Flanders. So that is that, and then Conquest. Conquest will be making 1 point for every 5 provinces that we conquer, and that's as bad as it gets, because for some factions, like Hungary, you're going to see that it is 1 for 1. You get a point for every province, which is insane. Luckily, Hungary typically doesn't get too powerful, but that's just an example. I think Poland also has that. 1 for 1 for Poland, yeah. And my understanding is that's typically what they did for the factions, that didn't really... This is very Western focused, I would say, those glorious achievements. So it seems like Creative Assembly didn't really understand what to do with Hungary or Poland, just because they weren't in their, sphere of learning, I suppose. And so they gave them pretty boring objectives, just because they're like, here you go, here's 1 point for every province you get, just gives you a chance. So for France, though, France does have a lot of interesting objectives, as do the English and the Germans and the Italians, the West, Spanish as well. So we're going to be getting these Crusade objectives. Again, that's another thing that's not available to all the factions, like not all the Catholic factions, which is, again, it's weird. Like the Danes don't get access to it. The Poles and Hungarians, again, yeah, it's kind of sad. But these are all objectives that we can be getting. Launch a crusade to Antioch, Edessa, Palestine, Tripoli. So 2 points for Tripoli, and then was at 9 points for Palestine, 1 for Edessa, and 3 for Antioch. These have to be carried out before the year 1204, so that's going to be the start of the high period. And it's a little bit tricky. It can be. That is a lot of time. But it kind of depends on what kind of fight that the Egyptians put up, because all of those territories, Tripoli, Palestine, and Antioch, all start in Egyptian hands. Edessa starts off in Turkish hands, but there's a chance that it gets conquered by the Byzantines. So that the timing of Edessa is a little bit tricky. You could end up war with the Byzantines if you just, if you happen to attack it when the Byzantines own it, which isn't ideal. They have a large tract of land, and it would be nice to be able to trade with their ports because they also own these islands. And they own Constantinople, obviously. So these are ports that they already start the game with, and you could be trading with them potentially if you have your trade fleets set up. And then starting a war with the Byzantines to take Edessa is not ideal, but that's kind of the fun part about these points. The close achievement system is that it kind of forces you to play, I would say, off meta. Like it's easier to not do some of these things, and so I do like that challenge. Now, here's going to be the real granddaddy of the challenge, the Crack de Chevalier. And that's going to be to build a citadel in Tripoli. And that is by the year 1200. So not 1204, that's 1200. And that's 8 points, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. And so a citadel is going to be, that's the tier 4 fortification building that's available to us. So that's a high tier building. And off the top, so like a fort, the tier 1 takes 4 turns to build. And then the tier 2, which is a keep, is going to take 8 turns to build. And then if we were to continue to follow that, so does that mean that the castle is 16 turns? Or is it like 12 turns? Does it go up by another 4? I'm not quite sure. And then the citadel, is that 20 turns? It might be 24. I don't think it's like 24 turns. It might be 20 turns for the citadel. So that's a lot. That's a lot of turns. I haven't done the math in a while, but that means that we need to have Tripoli somewhere by like 1140 or something like that. And yeah, if you want to correct me, go right ahead. Let me know. But that's going to be the idea. Is probably prioritizing Tripoli so that I can start that building project there, and then expanding from Tripoli to Antioch and Edessa, if I have to. So how for those of you who are new to this game, how do crusades work? Well, I can send them overland. First off, I would need to get up to building a keep somewhere, and once I have a keep, which is that tier 2 fortification building, then I can build a church. I think that takes another 4 turns to build, and then a chapter house. A church is required for a chapter house, and I think the chapter house takes another 4 turns, I think. And then when you have a chapter house, you can build a crusade marker. And guess what? That takes another 4 turns to build that crusade marker. Then you can launch that crusade. At the Pope's blessing, which by that I mean if you pay him 1,000 florins, he will give you his blessing, and then you can launch that crusade. Your crusade will start off with just a couple of units, nothing too crazy. Maybe like a general, maybe like someone who's a 3-star general, perhaps something, maybe if you're lucky. And if you're lucky, you get some crusade specific knight units. For the French, it would be the Templars, correct? I think so. And they are very good. So the crusade specific knight units are the equivalent in stats of chivalric knights, which are very good. Chivalric knights are one of the best heavy cav units in this game. They're very, very good. And the fact that Toulouse, if you look here, can train chivalric knights with +1 valor, that's good. That's very, very good. So getting the thing with chivalric knights though is that you can't get them until, as I said, the hype period. And even then, you have to really be on top of your tech building to get there in time. So because there's a lot of buildings that you need for that. There's a lot, you need the armor buildings, and you need the royal estate buildings, and you also need the stable buildings. So that's 3 building lines that you have to really like tech up into to get chivalric knights. It's a lot. So even if you reach 1204, you might think, all right, let's get these knights. And you're like, oh no, I'm really behind in my building. So getting access to Crusade knights that are equivalent in stats of chivalric knights in the earlier period can be quite substantial. But there's no guarantee that you're going to be getting knights with your Crusade army. You could just be getting Order foot soldiers, which are equivalent to chivalric sergeants, which are your high period spearmen. They're solid, but you know, they're not knights. So yeah, it's a little sad. So when you have your Crusade marker, you can march it overland, and while it's doing that, it's going to be marching through what could be either neutral territory or even enemy territory. And if it's enemy territory, but it's Catholic, they will typically, if not always, let your crusade through. If they deny your crusade, again, even if they are enemies, the papacy will excommunicate them. So I think that the Catholics will always let your crusade through. And that's significant because as they're moving through territories, Catholic territories, they will be hoovering up troops from that province. So if there's a stack of troops there in that province, that crusade moves from Ile-de-France to Burgundy, and that German stack is there, then there's a solid percentage of that stack that's going to be hoovered up into your army, your crusade army. And as they march from province to province through Catholic territory, they will be getting stronger. It's a pretty cool mechanic, and they hire the zeal in a specific province. If you look here, zeal is going to be at 58%. That's solid. It's, you know, over 50, so that's okay. But it can be increased by training some inquisitors, which is an agent that's available to us. Again, it's a tier 2 building that lets us train inquisitors. If you can get those, you can plop them into provinces and they will raise zeal. So that is a good thing. That's a way of getting even more troops hoovered up out of neighboring armies and other armies into your crusades. It's a bit of work, and you kind of have to understand where your crusade is going to be marching. You can't just march wherever you want. It has to be in kind of a predetermined path by the AI, which is a little bit unfortunate. It's a little bit too bad that that's how that works. So you have to kind of know where the AI is going to be letting you march. Sometimes you get just like 2 options of which province you're going to go to next, which isn't much of a choice. And so you have to kind of like know where you were wanting to put your inquisitors before you started this crusade. Well ahead of time to raise that deal. You get what I'm saying. It's a bit of work to get that to happen. The easier way to do this, and I would say like the less interesting way to do this, is to literally just like focus on building your fleets and then sending your crusade by sea to your target province. Since 3 of them are on the ocean, that means they could all be invaded on turn 1 of the crusade. Now, that means you're not going to be hoovering up troops from, you know, Catholic regions, which means that the strength of your crusade is going to be needed to be bolstered by your own training. You have to train up your own soldiers and place them in that crusade army, and then go that way. So it's a little too easy, actually. Now, crusade armies are upkeep free for as long as they remain a crusade army. As long as they win their objective and take that province, then they will be paying that upkeep for that army. So it's one of those things. It is nice to go overland, but it takes more time. And the problem is that even if you've hoovered up like, you know, thousands of troops on your way, as soon as you hit Byzantine land, you know, it's Orthodox, it's not Catholic, and you're going to be losing troops to desertion on every single province through Byzantine territory. There's a chance that the Byzantines might even deny you. Now, that happens sometimes, but yeah, it's a tricky thing. So you can lose, like, you can gain thousands of troops marching from France through German territory and Hungarian territory, but then you can lose like 1,000 of those guys moving from just, you know, Constantinople, Nicaea, or I think it's Constantinople, Trebizond, Rome, Lesser Armenia, and Antioch. Well, I think it's the same distance either way. Yeah. Same amount of provinces either way, but you get what I'm saying. You lose like 1,000 troops moving through Byzantine territory. It's rough. It is. It's a pretty rough subtraction from your army. So I would say that the more straight up way of doing this is just going by ocean, building up your forces and taking gosh darn Tripoli so that we can start focusing on that. And then any subsequent crusades after Tripoli and literally just being reinforced by whatever forces are guarding Tripoli. That small little crusade army of like a couple units can hit Antioch, for instance. And then on that same turn, I bring up troops from Tripoli to Antioch and we just go from there. So that's going to be the plan. It's going to be important that I remember that when I'm building up to this citadel, it's important that I don't build any defensive upgrades for this citadel. If I build I think it's a bastion would be my first defensive upgrade for it, that cancels out the citadel. It sucks. It really sucks. Fellow YouTuber Count MRVHS just recently played a campaign as the French. Well, recently, maybe it was last year. And he did that. And I wasn't like watching his campaign. I wasn't like up to date on it. So I wasn't able to warn him of this. And so he lost his Crusade objective or his Crack de Chevalier objective because he upgraded his frickin' citadel and it doesn't count like that building. So like, actually, yeah, we see that here in Ile-de-France, right? Yeah, we just see the Bailey. The Bailey is the defensive structure of the fort. It doesn't say fort. So if I were to destroy this, I would get 50 florins because that's half the cost of the Bailey. That wouldn't just destroy the Bailey and then give me a fort. No, that destroys the entire thing. So like if you destroy a defensive structure for a citadel, you get half the cost of that thing and then you go down to nothing. Nothing. Not even like it doesn't go like step by step by step by step by step. It goes down to nothing. It is torturous to have that happen. I have that happen in my Almohads campaign. Not on this channel, but in my practice campaign. You have a goal to build up. Maybe it's like another citadel, maybe. I can't remember. In Granada to get the Alhambra objective. And I learned that lesson the hard way. But at least that was my practice campaign, so I knew not to do that in other future campaigns. So let's hope that I remember to not do that in this campaign. So that's that's like the plans for the campaign, right? And what do I do now then? So like what's my first move is going to be? As you can see, my territory is divided. There's going to be English territory here in Aquitaine, Anjou, and Normandy. And of course, they have Wessex, Mercia, and Northumbria. They don't own Wales or Scotland or Ireland. So the first goal is going to be to remove the English from France. And to do that, I think that attacking on the first turn is going to be the way to go here. Now, let's see here. There's going to be a couple things I want to be doing. I want to be getting an alliance with the Holy Roman Empire and Aragon as soon as I can. And I have two agents. I have a princess and I have a emissary who are both capable of getting these alliances for me. Now, the nice thing about an alliance is that doesn't guarantee that they won't betray you. But the thing is that if you attack an ally, then you end up losing influence. So if someone betrays me, I'm looking at you, Aragon, that means that his king would be losing influence. And influence determines the loyalty of your generals. So that could cause some issues for them going forward. So it's a decent, I do like the way it's portrayed in this game. It's a decent way of making AI factions respect their alliances. It seems like it works a bit better than anything that I've found in Rome Total War, or Rome 1 that is. And then also I have these titles, these governorship titles that I can be giving out to people. And this is going to be, well, it does a couple of things. So every single unit has a unit captain and they have some stats here. Loyalty, piety, dread, acumen. The two most important ones I would say is dread, which increases the provincial loyalty or happiness, you could say, but let's call it loyalty. And acumen is going to be increasing the amount of money that province makes. I would prioritize acumen just to get as much money as we can. And I like to aim for 4 acumen for my governors. It looks like I got a 4 acumen guy right here. That's pretty nice. Piety I might talk about later. It's not... It's kind of a weird one. But yeah, I'll talk about piety at some point maybe. And yeah, so I'm going to be going through this. Yeah, like you see the one loyalty, but loyalty is like not the biggest issue. See, this peasant, you see this, he has a star next to his unit card. He's the leader of this little stack for some reason. So the fact that he has one loyalty for this archer captain doesn't really matter because all that matters is the stack's loyalty, and 5 is sufficient. So I'm going to be finding a way. Let's see, I think I want my princess to come down here and talk to the Aragonese king and try to marry on into the family. So the faction has no unmarried men, but I can still send her down there to get an alliance. So let's do that. And then I'm trying to remember where's the German king start off? Is he in Franconia? I always forget. It's been a while since I've practiced this campaign, so I'm not necessarily going in blind, but it has been a while. Yeah, it's been a while. So I think that when it comes to placing my generals, I am pretty sure that I get a very good like historical general. So the fact that we have Sir Baldwin of Boulogne, like a 5-star general with 4 acumen, and doesn't have any traits, does he? My guess is that this is a historical general, but I don't know enough about this period of history to know that. So if you know who this person is, let me know. Typically, historical generals have traits, and he doesn't have any traits. It's something you have to scroll down to see, but he doesn't have that. Like my king, for instance, has traits: secret avarice. In this endless quest for riches, he secretly engages in complex plots to divest his subordinates of some of their wealth. Some would call what he does fraud. +2 acumen, -10 happiness. So that acumen that he has, which is very good actually, is going to be increasing the amount of money that I'm making from all of my provinces. And then 3 command stars, obviously how he is as a general, going to be giving some command bonuses to the troops that he leads. Dread, as I mentioned before. Piety, okay, I'll like give you like the real like cover version of what piety means. Piety has to do with public order as it relates to zeal. So typically like the higher the zeal and the piety, that just raises loyalty. There's more to that, but I'm just going to leave it there for now. And so the first order of business, on the first turn, or I'm sorry, on the second turn of this campaign, I believe that I do get another historical general who does have good acumen. And I would rather wait for him to exist before I give... See, there's going to be this office here, the Grand Chamberlain. And the reason why I have this available to me, this is not a governorship. This is the governorship for Ile-de-France. It's going to be given a command star and loyalty. And I think that I want to wait for that general to exist first, to give him both of these. Ile-de-France, I think, is our richest province to start with. Is it? Let me check. I can just go into here. So income, let's see here. Yeah, 276 for Ile-de-France is our highest. With, nope, Flanders. Flanders is our highest. Okay, so, shoo. So I think that I'll give Flanders to maybe, how's yours? So you have 4 acumen? Yeah. So I'll probably give Flanders to him. Flanders gives loyalty. 3 loyalty, which is quite high. His loyalty is solid, but bringing him up to 8 is, yeah, that'll be appreciated. He's a 5-star general, which is quite good. He's very important. It's too bad that he's in a unit of urban militia, which is it's a soft unit. It's a peasant level soft unit. So no armor, no shields, very bad at defending themselves in combat. So yeah, it's not great. Not great. And that's the same thing that's going to be for this next guy that appears as well. I can't train spears. All I can train are peasants, urban militia, or archers. That's an emissary and that's a ballista crew. So like, the least worst option is an urban militia for, a general. So that's what we're going to be doing there. So I'm going to be leaving Ile-de-France to the next guy who's going to be appearing, and then probably giving Flanders to you. This is going to be my guess. And as I was saying before, the Grand Chamberlain, so where does that come from, you might ask? That's coming from this building, the Royal Palace. Kind of like our, I could call it like an administrative building chain. It allows us to train emissaries. It gives us titles to give to our generals, which is nice. And this is going to be the building chain that eventually allows us to build knights in addition to the armor building chain and the stables building chain. It's a lot to keep track of. So Royal Palace, what is this going to be giving us? Acumen and loyalty. And that's why I wanted to save this for the guy who, wait, I'm not going to give, no, okay, no. I'm giving, yeah, this guy who's going to be coming up, I'm going to be giving him the governorship of Flanders, and I'm going to be giving him the Chamberlain, the Grand Chamberlain title, so that he's going to be boosting, yeah, that acumen. It's going to be getting even more money for Flanders. Yes, that is going to be the way. I'm in the process of handing out my governorships and my titles, and this is an example of a decision that I have to make here. So I'm down to looking at my acumen of 3 guys, because I've already given out a couple titles, and I'm down to my 2 least most earning provinces. Wait, could have just said my poorest provinces. There you go. So my 3 acumen guy here, 1 loyalty, which I'm not too concerned about. Again, as I mentioned, this is a ballista captain, so he's not going to be commanding this little stack here. 5 piety, 1 dread. So I have to kind of like tease out what exactly is going to be more important for giving my province a high public order. Going here to Champagne, Zeal's at 55%, which again is, you know, more than 50. But exactly like how much piety matters for that. And it's hard to know because we have a 3 acumen guy here, right? So 3 acumen is the same. But then this guy only has 4 piety, 2 points of dread. Now, the easy part is dread. I'm pretty sure that dread is just 10% loyalty increase per skull. So that's easy enough to do the math on. But the piety is tough. It's hard to really understand the relationship between piety and zeal. You know, and how that actually breaks down in the numbers. So this would be kind of the safer bet going for him. And I think that that's what I'm going to be doing here. I think I saw another guy. He has the same 5 piety, 1 dread for him. 3 acumen, but 2 piety, 0 dread. So that's not what I want. 3 acumen, 2 piety, 1 dread. Which is interesting. But I think, let's look at Brittany. Brittany has 48%. So I'll be giving that to him because he has less piety. So yeah, we go in here. Champagne's making 189 on normal taxes, and it's going to give 1 point of loyalty. And now it's up to 246. Not bad. And so Brittany is going to be giving loyalty as well. And then I think I saw it was you. Yeah, 3 acumen. And that's going to be 3 piety, 1 dread. And since this is less than 50% zeal, it's still not nothing, but I still think that the less piety is going to match a bit better. And you're still getting 1 point of dread as well, which is a-okay. So there we go. And we're up to 214 on low tax or normal taxes. So that'll do. And I'll save the Chamberlain title for that next general so that I can get up to, I want to give him the command star. That's going to be the idea there. Just make him a better general. I could do that for you too. I could, but no, I already gave him the title of Flanders, so that'll do. I wanted Flanders to be making more money as soon as possible because it is, look at that, normal taxes, it's making 656. Not freaking bad, and I will be raising taxes as much as I can, but right now we're going to be looking at what kind of moves we want to be making here. In this first turn here, because I want to be attacking the English in the first turn, and I think I can take Anjou and Normandy. So that is going to be the plan here. Toulouse, the decision's easy. Attack with everyone. Spearman, archer, and ballista. So yes, we will be waging war against the English, and Toulouse has to probably lower taxes. No, loyalty's at 106, so not bad. That's okay. Now, yeah, having a wide open province doesn't feel good, but as long as they're happy, that's all that matters. And then Flanders, obviously, can only attack into Normandy, so those are the two easy decisions. Champagne can't attack into either one, so I'm probably going to be moving it into Ile-de-France, probably. So then we have the two tougher choices, Brittany and Ile-de-France. These two armies can both attack into either Anjou or Normandy. So I need to decide exactly how I want to break this down. The way that this can work, if I do this correctly, is that the Anjou army will retreat to Aquitaine. Therefore, there will be no place for the Normandy army to retreat to. But I believe, if I do this correctly, it will retreat. But then it will just get automatically destroyed because it won't have a place to retreat to. Let's try this. Let's send the entire force of Brittany, this 5-star urban militia general, this archer, and this peasant unit into Normandy, and then I'll be splitting this off and joining this army with a archer and a peasant as addition to this archer and peasant. And that will leave the king and this ballista to join up with the spearmen, the archers, and the ballista to go into Anjou. So hopefully that's going to be enough to cause both armies to retreat. And yes, with this army getting auto-destroyed in the process, that is going to be ideal. So let's go ahead and move you over to Ile-de-France. And let's check in. So Brittany is not really digging it. So let's go ahead and lower these taxes. And is there anything that we can increase tax-wise? Yes, we can increase Ile-de-France up to very high. And yeah, we'll do we'll go down to normal. Putting it on 100% is a little bit too fine. And then Flanders, can we bump it up at all? Hell yeah, get it up to high, make that 722, hell yeah. Alright, so that's looking okay. And now we have to decide how we want to spend our money. Now, I can only train soldiers in one province here in Ile-de-France. It's my only training center, unlike the English who actually have Wessex and Aquitaine, which is quite an advantage, really. So let's just get that urban militia, as I was saying before. That's the best unit to put that general inside of when he does come in. And then I would say I probably want to start teching up to a keep right away. It's expensive. It's going to take 8 turns, but I may as well start that now and start building forts in all my other places. Probably what I want to do. Yeah, we may as well get started on these forts right away. It's going to take 4 turns. So let's get that out of the way. And I think we're ready to drop a save and keep moving on here. And I do, just so you know, I do habitually just drop saves every single turn. When I first started playing this game, you know, it was like 4 years ago or so, I was having a lot of stability issues. And so I just really got into the habit of dropping saves all the time. Now, those issues have kind of gone away. I haven't really had too many crashes lately, knock on wood. And I had the same experience with Rome Total War as well. When I first started playing that also was crashing a lot. When I first started playing it, and those issues also have largely gone away. So that's interesting. There is a certain resolution that I recommend using for at least this game in particular, but I recommend that if you are trying to play this game or even Rome Total War and you're having a lot of stability issues, there are fixes that you can pursue. Obviously, you can try certain things if you're really not even able to boot up the game. But if you can at least kind of get into it and play it and just kind of, just keep playing it. In my experience, the stability issues have really gone away. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, just drop it again. Again, it's habitual. I can't help it. Don't blame me. All right, let's see. Let's hope that the English do what I want them to do. So they're going to be retreating from Normandy, which again, where are they going to go? Because I've taken Anjou, I think. Let's see. Yes, so they've retreated from Anjou. At least this army can get away to Aquitaine, but this army can't. So yeah, I've taken Anjou, and so that's okay. So that's the ransom that I've received. And it's going to be that army that I auto-captured that was leaving from Normandy. And that's 200 men captured. I could get 450 florins. I usually always take the ransom. Oh yeah, no, I did ransom. Right, I didn't have a chance of slaughtering them because I didn't actually fight the battle. Right, so I just got 450 florins for ransoming back those people. That's okay. All right, the Novgorods are happy. Good for them. And what do we have here? So Lord of Boulogne. That's this guy. So he's honest. +1 loyalty. Hell yeah. And Sir Godfrey of Bouillon. Natural leader. So that's going to be this 5-star general. And natural leader is going to be giving him +2 morale and +1 loyalty. It's a very solid trait that I highly recommend. And what do we have here? Now there's English king in Aquitaine. How did that happen? How did the English king go from Wessex to Aquitaine? Huh? What just happened? He can't move. He can only... From Wessex, he can only move to Flanders because of that thingy there. He can't have moved... Did they just have a civil war or something? What happened? Well, I'm very confused. As you can see, Anjou is not too happy about this. Let's see if we can fix this up by lowering the taxes. So 91%. It's close, but we're not quite there yet. And everyone else looks good, but they're not. Don't be fooled. Because we're going to be leaving these places with very little in the way of a garrison. I'm going to be bringing forces down to finish off Aquitaine as soon as possible. Which means, let's see, what does that mean? Because I definitely want to have soldiers in Flanders to defend against the English, but really focusing on Aquitaine is going to be the thing that I'm going to prioritize right here. Now, I for sure know that I'm not going to be able to attack Aquitaine in this turn, so if I move these archers and peasants from Normandy to Brittany, Normandy is going to be pissed. Right now, all they have is this general, and I want to move him to Flanders if I can. So I can assign the governorship of Normandy to someone. This is going to be giving a command star, loyalty, and dread. And what if I do this for him instead? He has 4 dread. That's Sir Godfrey of Bouillon. And natural leader. Yeah, 4 dread. I mean, I don't think anyone else has higher than 4 dread. So giving that to him, and, I wanted, him to be the governor of Ile-de-France, Ile-de-France makes more money than Normandy. But really stabilizing the area as quickly as possible, I would say, is more important. So, and yeah, that dread's going to help out anyway. So let's give it to him. And what are we at? 64%. And very low taxes, 89%. That's getting closer. What if I just bring this peasant up? So then after lower taxes in Ile-de-France, yeah, we're going to be doing a bit of balancing here. And Anjou's going to be... So the good news is they're going to be hanging out here for at least one more turn. And what I can do is I can build a watchtower. This is going to be increasing the loyalty by 10% instantly. Watchtowers also give you visibility in neighboring regions. Now, in Anjou, most of my neighboring regions are going to be my territory once I get Aquitaine, but at least I will be getting visibility on Burgundy as well, because I do border that. So building watchtowers in Normandy and Anjou may be something that I want to do right away for that. It's a nice, easy 10% loyalty boost, which is pretty nice. It takes 1 turn to build, and it costs 100 florins. It's a steal. It's pretty good. After that, my only captain that has like more than 1 point of dread is going to be this guy here with 2 points of dread, but he only has 2 piety and no acumen, so he's going to be giving Anjou 0 economic bonuses. And I don't know how the piety, that 2 piety, is going to be interacting with the 41% zeal. I don't know if that's going to be a positive or a negative. It's I don't know. So it's kind of brutal to have to do this, but I feel like hopefully that just goes up. Hopefully at the very least that goes up to past 100. No, that lowered it. See, that's really hard to know that's what was going to happen there. So I could have potentially picked someone that with only 1 point of dread, maybe higher piety, and then some acumen. So luckily, I can use my emissary to remove titles from people. So he's going to be someone that I'm going to be wanting to remove that from. And what I can do, at least, is by building that watchtower. That should get factored in before any rebellion roles get factored in. So we should be good here. I hope. And then let's get that watchtower built here in Normandy as well. I'm going to be moving my emissary into Franconia to continue to look for the Holy Roman Empire, or the Emperor, and then training up a unit of peasants here in Ile-de-France. Other than that, I think that we are all set here. So hopefully the English don't attack into Toulouse, because I don't have anyone there. So watchtowers are finished here in Normandy and Anjou. And so this is an interesting thing about AI behavior in this game. And this is also true for Shogun as well, which is that it does seem to me that the AI, despite the fact that, you would think that it sees everything, it does seem to want to scout things out first before it attacks, because you might be wondering, like, why is it not attacking Toulouse? Or Flanders for that matter. And they have scouts here, although these were here last turn, weren't they? So they should know how weak Flanders is. Anyway, though, so we should be able to attack Aquitaine in this. Oh yeah, we know what's there because we got this watchtower, right? So we have a king, and yeah, this is so bizarre to me. Who are you? What happened? So 0 command stars, which is bad. 0 traits, which is weird. So he's like a new king. So the old king died on the first turn of the campaign? How? What happened? Don't understand. And usually we would be getting a message. Like when a king dies, we get a message. Yeah, it's really bizarre. Alright, anyway, so yeah, Princess is on the way to talk to the Aragonese, and now we found the Holy Roman Emperor. So yeah, 4 influence, 3 command stars. He's a drinker, so -1 command. That's really unfortunate for him. Because the drinker trait just gets worse and worse. It starts off with -1 command, and then it turns into -1 plus -1 acumen, and then it just gets worse. It's bad. But we don't really care about that. Let's just go talk to him, try to get an alliance, so that we can lock down our eastern borders here. And then we're probably ready to attack Aquitaine. What else do the English have besides their king? They have those Hoblars, which I was talking about before. These are the light cav units, so they have 2 of them. And then they're going to have 1 archer unit, and then 2 peasants. And that peasant has already taken them casualties as well. He's lost 1 man. So yeah, I'm really confused as to what's happened here. I wonder... So I know... The thing is, so like for those of you who are watching this and wondering like if the game just bugged out or something, I know that it didn't bug out because this has happened in a previous practice campaign. It's just that it was so long ago, but I can't remember if I ever determined what caused this. My only guess is that this must be a civil war that happened, and after losing 2 provinces in 1 turn, he must have lost so much authority that he literally fought a civil war on turn 1 and then lost that civil war and died. And then the new king, when he gets crowned in the province that has the most built up infrastructure. And that just so happened to be Aquitaine rather than in Wessex, which is kind of funny, but there are 2 buildings here. Well, 3 if you include the fort. I don't know what Wessex has, but apparently less than Aquitaine. So yeah, it's a funny thing. Anyway, so I have the archer advantage. Now my infantry is pretty trash. I'm just going to have 3 peasants here. 3 peasants. Nope. I'm also going to have a spearman, which is solid. Solid enough. Let's go in. And let's get a fight. Oh yeah, hey, I probably should fix these things. Shoot, can I fix this? So let's go ahead and very low taxes here. All right, Anjou. 76. Might have to bring a peasant over or 2 from Brittany. Can we get away with just 1? 92%. 92%. How do I feel about this if I just do 3 archers, 1 peasant, 1 spear, 2 ballistas, 1 archer? So it's 4 archers in total. It makes it a tougher fight. Having an extra peasant would be nice, but here's the thing. If I built a border fort, that would take an additional just 1 extra turn. And it'd give me an additional 5% to my public order here, my loyalty. So that'd bring me up to... I just did you. So 5%, that'd bring up to 97%, which is very, very close to being okay. In fact, if I had a better governor, that would be fine. Ooh, yeah, so it's a 3% chance of there being a rebellion, which is low. That is low, but I think I want this extra peasant here in Aquitaine. So let's build that border fort Anjou. Let's start building a fort here in Normandy. Unless I can't bring you... Can I afford to bring you down? So you'd be at a 99%. Ooh. Well, that's better, isn't it? Because then... what I can do is build that border fort here in Normandy. So that's going to guarantee that's going to be above 100%. And then Anjou is going to be guaranteed to be fine. So they don't even need to build that border fort. They can just start building a fort. Or that means that I can bring down that extra peasant. And then go back to gambling with that 97%. Decisions. I think that I can win this without that extra peasant. So let's just guarantee or try to guarantee that there's going to be no loyalist rebellions for the English in Anjou. And we'll call it there. So let's go ahead. And let's get a battle in, eh? The English are going to be attacking Flanders. And so they have 3 archers and 1 peasant. And I have 2 urban militia and then 1 archer unit. So I am just going to want to retreat from this. Yeah, just abandon the province. And then we can attack Aquitaine. And I like our chances here. They were able to train up another unit of Hablars. It's going to be tough. That's going to be very good against all my archers. So let's see how we can do. I'm going to be placing my ballistas up as close to the fence as I can since they cannot be moved. I want to put them in a position where they might be able to reach the enemy army. And then I'm going to be grouping up my peasants and my archers together in 2 separate groups. Well, I'm going to have peasants and archers in one group and then a second group of archers in the second group, which will be moving behind my guys. I can't move these guys before the battle starts, in case you're new to this game. So I'll be using my formations here like this and like that, and just keep it square. Keep it square just because, yeah, they got that have advantage, so... Are my ballistas in range? No, they are not. And it appears like they're not going to be attacking. Now, do I want to strike from the forest? I kind of do. Because if I can draw them into the woods, then I will be getting an advantage against the cavalry. Now my men are in the forest, but I'm going to be bringing my archers in front here. And with these group formations, that can be switched out easy enough just by pressing 5 and 4. 4 will be putting your men with your melee troops in front, and 5 will have your archers in front. So if I want them to reverse and switch back, it's easy enough to do so just by pressing 4 with that unit grouped. And I want to see if I can draw them into the forest. Yeah, their cav advantage is considerable, and fighting that on the open ground is going to be pretty dicey. So trying to force them into this fight is going to be ideal. Luckily for me, it looks like they're going to be bringing up their archers. And there we go. That's the response. So let's bring these guys back now. Because yeah, I was going to bring them up to help fight. But now it appears, yeah, so now just press 4. And you see how that just switches those guys out? So that should be fine. Let's go ahead and maybe draw back. Maybe not. So let's focus on Hobblars on this side with 2 archers. Again, if I can get rid of their mobility, that's going to be ideal. So let's go here and then... let's get you guys. No, let's just shoot here. And then let's get you moving up. And yeah, I don't think we're quite fighting in the forest. Let's get our spearmen engaged and put them on engage at will. And then yeah, King's going to be moving on over. And let's get King into the fight here against these Hobblars. And now, can we get our archers training their fire on their archers? Here and then here. And they're going to be bringing their king on as well. So let's shoot at their archers here. And then as soon as their king gets into range, let's get some shots in on him. So yeah, we've broken their guys, but now they're going to get our spearmen. So let's try to get my guys back into formation. Please, please, please. Try to get it into range. And yeah, archers just lay down holy hell fire on those guys. Those Hobblars still haven't broken yet, which is a little bit concerning that they're still fighting. My king hasn't lost any men though, so that's good. And yeah, now we're taking out some of the royal bodyguards. Those Hobblars don't quite know what they want to be doing. And seriously guys, can we get rid of you? Jesus, these guys are just winning. And yeah, I've lost a couple of my bodyguard dudes. But at least they're not piling on in, so that's good. There we go, there they go. Now they broke off. So king get back, and then peasants get back as well. Yeah, let's get you go. Go, go, go. Alright. Alright, so our peasants are now, or I'm sorry, our archers are now getting some decent fire in on all these guys. Hobblars are losing guys. Royal Knights are down to 18. That's okay, but let's get our guys back into formation. Like this. And, ooh, just when they train, that's right when they choose to pile on in. Yeah, good timing for them. So let's get my spearmen piling on in, and then you guys go as well. And I don't think these ballistas are in range of anything, are they? Ooh, they can shoot the Hobblars. There you go. So yeah, let's get spearmen piling on into the Royal Knights there. And then archers on this side are completely exposed, but if they can just kind of destroy these Hobblars. There we go, there we go. Just rain down hell. Trees are blocking some of our shots, but we gotta do what we can do. They're down to 6 guys in their royal bodyguard. I'm down to 12 in mine. It's a little bit dicey. And can we last samurai these Hobblars on this side? There's only 4 left, so can we kill them, please? And yeah, they're piling on in on this side. Let's send my peasants on in as well. And king is down to 2 men. Just him. Just the king now. And now they want to send in their peasants and their archers, but if we can kill the king, that should break the morale for this army. So yeah, let's start getting some shots in on those peasants. Again, if we can break them, that would be ideal. And then on this side as well, shoot into the peasants, please. And shoot into the peasants. And Ballista, do you have range on anything? You don't have range. Maybe that peasant unit, if you can hit them. And there we go. So the enemy king is dead. And man, peasants are going in for a last samurai charge. Okay, they were going in. Alright, so let's send my king out to start chasing some stuff. Let's see if we can break those archers. Because they have nowhere to run to. Oh wait, no, that's a lie. They do have a fort. That's right. That's right, they do have a fort. So let's kill as many of these guys as we can. Actually, ooh. The more men that are inside of the fort, the faster that it's going to starve out. So actually, I'm going to do this weird thing where I just follow up behind them so that they keep running away, but I don't want to kill them. I don't want to kill any more of them because, yeah, the more mouths to feed, then the less amount of time that this fort is going to be able to hold out. That's going to do it. So we did win the fight. And how do we do here? So Royal Knights, my king got 2 points of valor for 31 kills. Did lose 10 men, but that's going to be auto-replenished. Oh no, they don't get auto-replenished in this game. That's right. I have to actually... No, for the king they do. For the king they do, but for the heirs they don't, right? Am I misremembering that? Anyway, peasants. This unit of peasants got a point of valor. Hot damn, dude. They lost 70 men, but they killed 11, so... There you have it. Yeah, so we killed 176 and we lost 207. Yeah, we had a lot of peasants though. That was kind of a tough little fight there. So, yep, Aquitaine has been conquered, ransom received. So that's going to be 50 florins raised for the four men that we captured. Yeah, we didn't chase them at all. And the Germans are the strongest. And the King of England has been killed in battle. He has no heirs. And his forces have degenerated into minor factions. They no longer present any real threat. That's the English done by turn 3. Not really what I had in mind for this campaign, but there you have it. Now, there are faction reemergences in this game, so that is a possibility. If there were any surviving heirs that had not yet come of age, there's a possibility that there could be a faction reemergence at some point in this campaign, so that's something that I'm going to have to be aware of. Border fort finished here in Normandy, and the True Cross has been found. So truly, this is a remarkable event, as a piece of the True Cross on which our Lord redeemed the world has come into the possession of the Paris Cathedral. It is now in the place of honor and has made this a place of holy pilgrimage. Catholic zeal has been increased across the whole of France. Now, a question that myself and Count MRVHS has had is that we don't ever know if these messages just indicate the territories that are actually owned by the faction in mind, whether it's, in this case, the French, or in other cases, it's going to say like it'll say like Germany or, Spain or something. And does it mean the provinces that are specifically held by that faction, if they still exist? Or does it mean like the modern day just realm of what that is? It's kind of hard to know what exactly that means, and I've never tested it. It's kind of hard to test unless you know exactly when these events are going to happen. But we can assume that we have higher zeal, so there you go. And just like that, so the Aragonese have accepted the offer of an alliance, and that has come without a marriage. They just accepted the alliance. Oh no, that he rejected it. Oh shit. Oh. What? Well, we're just going to keep asking him. I was just going to say, so typically what happens, again, in my practice runs, is that if I conquer territory quickly, then that improves my standing globally, and I've always had the Germans and the Aragonese accept my offers immediately, whereas if I play passively and I don't conquer right away, then it takes a bit more asking and a bit more, egging them on to get them to accept. But, yeah, in this case, it didn't happen. That's weird. And yeah, same with the Germans. Wow. That is very different from my practice runs. That's a little bit concerning. Now, again, as I was saying, in my practice runs, what I have experienced is that I can just continue to ask them again and again and again, and that typically, like in my experience, like at least, I don't know, like say 1096, 1097 by the latest is typically when I'm getting these alliances. It's just that, yeah, as I was just saying, usually that happens right away if I've conquered stuff quickly. Yeah, it's weird. It looks like I lost my governor of Anjou and Champagne. Oh, tell the poor Anjou governor. We were going to miss him so much. So we get to select a new governor for Anjou, and we get to select a new governor for Champagne as well, because they both died in that battle. So how long? This is going to last for 2 turns. It's always 1 turn more than the year that it is. So we just wait here for 2 turns. We could, let's see here, they have 50 archers, so they could do a bit of damage to us. Our ballistas can get us into Aquitaine without us having to receive return fire. I am probably just going to attack. I'm just going to attack. Yeah, I should like get a move on. Rather, you know, it will save me 1 turn. And at this point of the campaign, I would say that 1 turn is pretty crucial. So that is going to be the play there. And then can we take back Flanders with 2 urban militia? I mean, it's the rebels now. So 3 archers. I don't want the Germans to take it, you know? That would suck, but can I even win? 3 urban militia versus 3 archers and a peasant. Hey, I don't know. That's a close run. That's a close run kind of battle. Yeah, I might want to train up another unit here in Ile-de-France before I do so, but yeah, if that invites the Germans in, then I'm going to be a very sad Frenchman. Well, that's going to have to wait until next episode, so thank you all for watching. Until next time, peace.